Hello, welcome. My name is Laura Pangratz, and I am the second vice president with the Harford County Council of PTAs. This is a training that we are providing on how to renew or update or amend your bylaws. This is a required task that must be completed every 3 years. And so we're going to discuss that tonight. If you are watching the replay and you have any questions, please send us an email at the the information is at the end of this recording. But we are so glad that you are here and that you are part of your wonderful PTA or PTSA. So we are grateful for your support and willingness to learn all about PTA and our policies and procedures. So let's begin. I am going to share my screen here, so give me 1 second. And we're going to start. This is the presentation on the process to renew and amend your bylaws. Again, my name is Laura Pangratz, and I am here willing to be of support to you. So tonight we are going to be talking about the difference between bylaws versus standing rules. You'll preview a blank copy of our new updated Free State bylaws template. We'll go over the renewal process, about how to form a committee, what your timeline it will be, and how to go about reviewing your current bylaws and then making any recommendations for change or to leave them as they are currently. Committee recommendations to the board and then final board approval. And then they all have to be presented to your general membership, and we'll go over that, and how to submit for your official final approval to our council, HCCPTA, and our state PTA, which is Free State. So bylaws versus standing rules, they are two very different documents. Bylaws contain the basic rules of our organization. They supersede all other rules except the corporate charter, if there is one, which Free State PTA does have their own bylaws as well. So we are under, that is our corporate charter, also following the national PTA bylaws. Bylaws cannot be amended without previous notice to the general membership and the vote of a specified large majority. PTA bylaws must include certain articles and sections with verbatim language mandated by our national PTA and our state PTA, which is Free State PTA. Those sections and articles cannot be amended. The local and council PTA bylaws must be approved by Free State PTA. And yes, Harford County Council of PTA also has their own bylaws that we must review and amend every 3 years, just like all of our local units. Bylaws cannot be suspended. Bylaws must be reviewed and renewed every 3 years. And amendments can be done anytime following that same process for approval. Now, you may say, well, what are standing rules? Standing rules relate more to the details of the administration of the organization. They are adopted to supplement and interpret the bylaws. Your standing rules are adopted by a majority vote at any executive board meeting, without previous notice, or continues in force until it is rescinded or amended. Generally, standing rules are amended by a 2/3 vote. Standing rules generally are not adopted at the time a PTA is organized, but individually if and when the need arises. Standing rules may not conflict with your bylaws, and local and council PTA standing rules require no approval from Free State PTA. And standing rules can be suspended for the duration of any session. So here is a general overview of the review process. There are basically 7 steps that we need to follow. First, you're going to form a bylaws committee, or your PTA president can appoint a bylaws review committee as directed by the organization's current bylaws. The committee reviews the current bylaws article by article, comparing it to the current recommended bylaws format. Third, if no changes are needed, the committee reports those findings to the executive board. And if there were changes being recommended by the bylaws committee, the committee would submit those recommendations to the executive board. The board then accepts or modifies the changes, and the committee presents the changes or the modified changes to the general membership for approval. You need 30 days notice given to your membership for the date of that vote. The general membership votes on these changes. The last step in that section is that the unit forwards the original bylaws and the minutes from the meeting when approved by the general membership. It can be a PDF to the HCCPTA bylaws chairperson for review, which is currently the second vice president of Harford County Council PTA's responsibility. So the fifth main step in this process is that the HCCPTA bylaws chair, who is the second VP, myself, will review those bylaws for you, and will ask any questions that maybe something was missed or something was unclear, to try and get those items fixed before they go to the next step, which is where then the Free State PTA bylaws chair will give the final approval of the bylaws. Now, this process with Free State may take a while, may take a few months, but it will be completed. And the Free State bylaws chair will return the bylaws for corrections, or if they have any questions, or when they're finally approved. And the bylaws committee, if there are corrections needed, the local units bylaws committee would then be reactivated to address those corrections and the recommendations. So the approval process for the use, if you are a unit that has never updated or gotten your general membership to approve using the Free State PTA template, that needs to be part of your process. This was done about 3 years ago by the majority of the local units. If you did not get that done then, you need to do it now to be in compliance. This is part of our updated portion of the process. Once you do this part of it, approving the use of the Free State PTA template, it will never have to be done again. And the reason we're doing that is because the former state PTA, which was called Maryland uh, Congress of PTAs, they are dissolved, no longer exist. So when National PTA created a new state PTA for us here in Maryland, it's called Free State PTA. But we as individual units need to have our membership understand that change and approve taking that information and just putting it on the new Free State PTA template. This new template will then show that our local unit, your local unit, is part of the Free State PTA group. Now, your general membership must be notified that a vote will be taken to approve this transfer of templates. And ideally, again, you still need to give 30 days notice prior to that meeting when the vote will occur. Now, as you can see in my slideshow here, this approval was supposed to have been done by June 1st in 2022. And then you would then follow the rest of the typical renewal process, meaning that was 3 years ago. So many of us who did get this done by that June 1st, 2022 deadline, we need to renew and review those bylaws because it's now 3 years later and they will be coming due again in 2025. Now, if you've never done the switch to the Free State PTA, you can do this now. You can do both a review of your bylaws and add the approval for using the template. Everything can be done, so you just need one 30-day notice period, okay? HCCPTA will provide the template to each unit that is from Free State PTA. And we will go over that in just a second. So step by step, how do you review your bylaws? And you do it article by article. So begin at the very beginning, review each bylaw article statement. You want to direct your attention to the items that have caused conflict or which those that have not been specifically addressed in previous bylaws. Remember that all double-starred items and all items with the pound sign are mandatory bylaws and cannot and should not be changed or altered. We are only allowed to change the sections that are fill in the blank. So when submitting your updates to the Harford County Council or to Free State for approval, your bylaws must be submitted on the original template. No retyped, faxed, or computer-generated alternatives will be accepted. Now, we do have a new Word document of our bylaws, so yes, you can now type and fill in those blanks, but you still need to have a signature at the bottom. Free State will accept now an electronic copy of the updated bylaws via email now. If you've been part of PTAs for a long time, that wasn't always the situation, and we had to snail mail all of this information in. We don't have to do that now, and I will show you how we can do that, okay? So where to look? So how many general membership meetings does your unit have to have? That's in your bylaws. When and how do we form a nominations committee? That is in your bylaws. Who handles the minutes of the organization? How many years can I be president? What are the terms for officers? That is all in the bylaws. What number do we need for quorum to be met in order to conduct business? How many days notice is needed to call a meeting? Again, everything is in your bylaws. This is why every one of us needs a copy of it. Every one of your executive officers should have a copy of the bylaws handy. So now there are several types of meetings. We've talked about this in some of our other trainings, but we're going to go over this briefly here as well. There are 3 types of meetings: the Executive Board of Directors, general membership, and special meetings. When you look at your bylaws, you will be able to see how many days notice is needed to be given prior to holding any of those types of meetings. It could vary from 3 days, 5 days, or even 7 days notice. Now, if you are requesting assistance from an HCCPTA board member to set up a Zoom link for a meeting, which some of us have Zoom accounts and will gladly help you with that. You will need to email us at least a week prior, and plus the number of days notice listed in your bylaws. This will ensure that proper notice can be given to your membership and that an HCCPTA board member is available to assist you with this request. Once you know what your requested meeting date is and you are ready to request a Zoom link, go to our website, the HCC website, which is hcc-pta.org, and click on the Programs and Services tab at the top, and then click on the Electronic Meetings Assistance option underneath the tab. Once there, you can complete and submit the request form. Once you've received your email confirming the date and Zoom link, then you can start sharing it with your members. The HCCPTA person is the host, but your local unit president will be running the meeting. So let's briefly discuss. Who is part of your executive committee meeting? The executive committee is everyone who was elected into their position, typically president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. You may have two secretaries and two vice presidents, but if they were part of your election, then that is considered the executive board. The board of directors is those executive officers plus all of your chairpersons, not the whole committee, just the chairpersons of each of your committees, and your principal. And then your general membership uh, meetings are for all members. Those are the times where you're asking all of your members to approve your budget, to approve your bylaws, things like that. Now, a special meeting is something that maybe you um, had to uh, um, amend something quickly and needed to not wait until your next general membership to do so, you can call a special meeting. Okay. If you have any questions about what type of meeting to have, please feel free to message us. Now, things to remember about this process. This is not a quick process, but it can be easy. And the process, if these steps are followed, once the general membership does approve the recommendations from your committee, the local unit can then begin conducting business using that new updated bylaws based on those bylaws until notified by Free State that there needs to be a correction. Okay, please use the guide that I will send you if you request it. That is given to help with appropriate verbiage in order to lessen the chance of rejection from Free State PTA. If you have any questions or unsure about a step in this process, please contact the second vice president for guidance, which currently is myself. So let's talk about approved bylaws. Once you have completed the process and you know your bylaws have been approved by your general membership and then also by HCCPTA and Free State PTA, you want to make several complete copies of the returned approved bylaws. Now, you can make hard copies, but you at least need to keep an official copy of it in whatever electronic digital file system you're using, whether it's a Google Drive or something similar to that. You need to have something on file so that any current and or future board members can find them and be able to reference them. So presently, you would want to make sure that each member of your executive board and the principal have a current copy of the approved bylaws. You want to file the original signed and dated bylaws in your permanent paperwork file. Remember, if you have taken any of our financial training, there are certain items, even in the financial side, that must be kept for a certain time period. Um, some things are held permanently, and this is one of them, your bylaws. You want to keep an original copy of the bylaws, plus you should have your original charter and articles of incorporation for the local unit in that file as well. You would, once you have an approved set of bylaws by your general membership, you want to send the second VP of HCCPTA an electronic copy so that it's currently me, but so that we can have a copy on file. So if in the future a board member can't find a copy of it, we can share that with them and help them move forward. And again, please pass your information on to your next set of board members whenever that occurs. Um, uh, Sharing this information really helps keep your local unit in compliance, and it makes an easier transition from board to board as the years go on, and it makes it much easier for your successor. So there is a new updated requirements for the standards of not affliction, affiliation, that should say. We'll get that correct there. It does feel like an affliction at times, doesn't it? So um, Free State sent out a updated session here for us that are coming effective December 1st of 2024, all PTAs are required to submit their standards of affiliation compliance documents through their givebacks account. Um, this is the remittance of dues is excluded from that. To better maintain records of compliance, Free State PTA has elected to use givebacks as a single repository for the foreseeable future. So this decision will help both Free State PTA and the constituent associations in the following areas. It will provide more efficient submission and tracking of compliance documents, and using givebacks as a single repository for compliance documents will make submission easier for local units, as you only have to upload your documents to your account. Once uploaded, Free State PTA can approve the documents in the system, and you will receive an automated notification of approval once it has been approved. The second part of this is that this allows for real-time reporting, which is a major benefit using givebacks, so that it enables Free State PTA and the council, Harford County Council, to generate real-time reporting of compliance and good standing lists. This eliminates the time and errors of maintaining a spreadsheet manually, which allows a more accurate report to show our support groups to assist local units throughout the state. It allows us to have greater access and control to compliance documents for local units during leadership transition. So this is a place that your future board can go back and look up when the bylaws were updated, or again, another location for the approved bylaws, so that if they can't find them in a Google Drive, they can still find them on the Give Back site for that local unit. This is serving as a repository for all of our local units who have met the Free State PTA good standing requirements. So we will, Free State PTA will utilize givebacks to verify local units who have met the good standing requirements determined annually by Free State. So this is a note. If you have previously submitted compliance documents this year to Free State PTA via email, you have met your requirements, but we ask that you still please upload your documents to the givebacks account and familiarize yourself with using the system. Remittance of dues is not required through givebacks, but you can choose to do that. So as part of this slideshow, for assistance review before mailing your updated bylaws to Free State, please send them to the second VP. You can use that email address, or you can use my personal email on the following slide. If you need to mail something in snail mail version, the address is there. You can use the secretary FSPTA email if you have a question. They will direct your question to one of the state specific people who will handle that question to their bylaws committee for you. But as we've been saying, we will be using givebacks as their primary way to share this information. Okay, so my personal contact is here. You have my phone number, you have my email. I can give you my mailing address upon request. And if for some reason I am unavailable, I will refer you to another HCCPTA board member to assist you. And I am usually flexible in my availability. And please ask questions. So I will be sharing all of this information with you. I will update a few things there, but you will receive this slideshow to be able to keep in your files as well. Now, we are going to switch and I'm going to share. Let's see, we're going to go over here and share. Here is the new template for the bylaws. So let's look at that and go over that now. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. All right, so Free State has updated their template for the bylaws as of September of this year. So we are going to look at that. They now have instructions included as part of this template at the beginning. So please read this through. But I'm going to go over a couple of these. But as you can see, every single PTA or PTSA in Maryland is required to review, approve, and submit their bylaws to Free State PTA every 3 years. And you must use the most current template provided by Free State PTA. Bylaws must be voted on and approved at a meeting of general membership, even if there are no revisions to be made. Now, what we also need to mention is when we're submitting the bylaws for approval to Free State, you will also be submitting a copy of your minutes, even in draft form, from that general membership meeting that you had where a vote was taken to approve changes or to approve the bylaws to remain as they are with no changes, so that Free State can see that you presented all of this to your general membership and they had a chance to have their voice heard and approve those recommendations. So you want to, as you see, that's step number 3, you must include the general membership meeting minutes with the approved bylaws to Free State. I'm not going to read every single thing here, but article by article directions, they are very helpful. You go through and look at each section. It tells you in bold that whether or not you can check anything. Here's one that I do like to reiterate. Under Article 6, Section 2A, it says fill in the number of vice presidents and secretaries. There can only be one president and one treasurer. You can't have a co-president or a co-treasurer. One name will go in, will be named for those positions. Then you will have two, if you choose, and it's in your bylaws, you could have two different secretaries, typically recording and corresponding, and two vice presidents, a first VP and a second VP. Okay. Let's see. You need to pay attention to, like in section 4 of that article, fill in the minimum number of days notice needed in each of the 3 places where notice must be given, and the title of the one officer who may succeed the president without requiring a special election. That is typically your first vice president. Okay, so as noted in Article 7, if you have more than one vice president, you must list their title, even if it just says first vice president, their duties, and the order of succession for each. Same thing for if you choose to have more than one secretary, list the title, corresponding or correspondence, recording or correspondence, and duties for each of them, and who would, one of those secretaries must be considered the recording secretary, who's the one who takes the minutes at all of the meetings. As you can see, go through in this new template and read all of the bolded, highlighted sections. In here, those are the primary changes or special process parts that you need to pay attention to. Now, this is what your bylaws actually looks like. You're going to, the first blank there says bylaws of the, you are going to put the full legal name in your bylaws. So for example, let's use one of the ones that I work with. North Harvard High School Parent Teacher Student Association Incorporated. That would be the official title for those bylaws. Then the next blank says Harford County. On your current bylaws, you will find all of the numbers that you need if you have them. Your incorporation number, your national PTA ID number, your EIN through the IRS, if you have a sales and use tax number. You can also find on your insurance certificate of insurance, a COI, will have your account number for that on there. So it looks like they want us to add these numbers in here. You do not write on the bottom. This is for Free State. Then it goes down, and again, the first section in Article 1, you're going to write the full legal name, the full address, and then as you notice in the third section down, you can put the association shall hereinafter be referred to in these bylaws as NHHS-PTSA. Okay, so then you can put the shortened part in, name in there. Okay, and you're going to go through and you read all the different sections, and remember, these are sections that you cannot change if they're in black ink. You want to look for all of the sections with a blank, and then it looks like then this new one they have put what you're supposed to put in those blanks in red. So under Article 6, officers and their election, as you notice in Section 2A, it says the officers of this local PTA shall be president. Then there's a blank. Next to vice presidents, you're going to put a 1 or 2. Then a blank, and then the word secretary or secretaries, you're going to put a 1 or a 2, and a treasurer. You're going to fill in the blank under sections 2C there that says what is your term? Are your terms for your elected positions 1 year or 2 years? Those are the typical options there. Okay. That is where you're going to put that number there. Then you have to note when your elections will be held. Then it goes into the next section is that there will be a nominating committee, and it explains you get to pick the number of how many members will be elected to that committee. A good typical number is 3 or 5. It needs to be an odd number. And then you're going to note whether this committee is elected by your general membership or the board of directors. Okay. The committee then can elect its own chairperson. All right. So we don't have to go through every single section here. Just look for all the red lined sections. And if you have any questions about them, let me know. This is a section that goes through all the duties here. So for example, let me go back up here for a second. Under secretary, well, there's the vice president. Section 2 is about vice presidents. Section 3 is about secretaries. So as it's noted, if you have more than one of these positions, you need to provide a separate job description for each one. Okay, so you can use everything that's listed here, but your first statement would be um, Secretary 1 is the recording secretary, and then list these duties underneath that person or that description, that title. And then you would do another section there that would be labeled corresponding secretary, and then all the duties underneath them as well. Okay, if you have questions about that, let me know. I can help you with that. We're going to keep going down through. And you got to look because there's a few in there that have, you can glance by, but there's a blank there that talks about how many days notice. Okay. Talks about committees, your bylaws. This is one of the most important sections, section 11. The first section, Article 11, I should say, the section 1. This is where you want to, the number that's there will tell you how many general membership meetings your unit should have during the school year. That's your minimum number. So at bare minimum, you need to have 3. That gives you the flexibility. If you decide you want to meet monthly, that's still okay. But you know that if you had to cancel any because of inclement weather or something comes up and you can't meet, you don't necessarily have to reschedule it because you're still going to be able to achieve having your 3 minimum general membership meetings. And typically, if you do 3, it's because you're going to have 1 at the very beginning of the year where your budget's approved, 1 mid-year, and then your third one would be towards the end of the school year, typically May, whenever you get ready to have your next set of elections, okay? Your annual meeting where the elections are conducted. Now, some vary and have 5 as their number, so then you need to make sure you have 5 general membership meetings. But as I said, if you choose to meet every month during the school year, that is okay too. But if you decide to make that number 9 in there, then you're committed and obligated to hold 9 general membership meetings. So if one needs to be canceled, you're going to have to reschedule it. Okay. So it's best to choose one of the smaller numbers for your minimum number of general membership meetings to have. Again, you're going to tell how many days notice needs to be given, when your annual meeting will be for the elections. And then section 5, this is an important number as well. This blank will state how many members constitute a quorum, and a quorum is needed in order to conduct business. And that means to approve things like the budget, any grant request, approval of meeting minutes, things like that. You must have a quorum. Minimum number is usually recommended to be 5. It needs to be an odd number. So the very lowest should be 3, but ideally 5 to 7 is a good number to have. You don't want to make it too big because then if you don't get a lot of people who commit to coming to your general membership meetings, you'll never be able to actually officially conduct business if you never make quorum. Okay, so really think about that. Look at what the current number is for your unit and decide whether or not it should remain the same or if it needs to be adjusted. Okay. Your council membership is with Harper County Council of PTAs. All of that gets inserted there. It talks about Free State. Then it also talks about how you can use electronic meetings and communication. Talks about our fiscal year, which every one of us should be using the July 1st to the July 30th fiscal year, not the calendar year. If for some reason yours is showing up as a calendar year, you need to submit the change of fiscal year form to the IRS to get that changed. And we do use Robert's Rules of Order for our parliamentary authority. Okay, and if you have questions about that, or if you need any resources on how to, the wording on how to make a motion and who needs to make a motion and all of that, please let me know. This is about amendments. And then this is where you will note when your membership has approved these bylaws, the date of it, and then your recording secretary must be the one to sign this after it's been approved. Okay, and then we always include a section on who to send the information to or who to request uh, um, reference to if Free State has questions and who they should contact. Okay. They have also included the purposes of the National Congress of Parents and Teachers and the principles of the Parent Teacher Association here. So if you ever want to share that with your members, it is all right there at the end of your bylaws. Okay. So I will be sending out and posting this new template for you. But if you need it before I get it posted, please reach out to me. We are going to, this is the full copy of what Free State sent out about compliance. It talks about everything, including the financial parts of this. I did not include that in the slideshow. So I will include this as part of your documents if you not have registered to receive this recording. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that is completes our questions or our presentation on the renewal process. Basically, this is something that we all have to do every 3 years at minimum. But in between those 3 years, if there's ever a time you something has come up and you need to review and decide to amend them, you know, in a year and a half or 2 years from your original approval date, that's okay too. You just still have to follow this process. Okay. So we will, HCCPTA is here to assist you, encourage you, and support you. So please reach out to us with any and all questions. This, I am the person, the point of contact for bylaws. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me and I will, I appreciate everything that you are doing to help your local unit because each one of us all has the same goal that we are here to support all students and all staff of each of and every one of our schools here in Hartford County, Maryland. Thank you for volunteering and giving up some of your time, your family time to be able to do this to help keep your PTA or PTSA a successful, viable, in compliance unit here as part of the Hartford County Council PTA and the Free State PTA system. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, I am here to help you. All right, have a great rest of your year.